get it going. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go! Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It is 10 p.m. Thursday evening, and we are here live on Studio A. Yeah, you've waited all week for the most cutting-edge topics and guests, and now it is time to deliver. That's right, it's the Stven D. Kelley Show with your host, Stven D. Kelley.
Hey everybody, good evening, happy Sunday. It's 7:03 here in Southern California. The sun is still out. It's somewhat spring weather. It's still nice outside. Dogs are being quiet. Bird is covered. My name is Stven D. Kelley. This is the Stven D. Kelley Show. This is Revolution Radio, www.freedomslips.com. Thank you for tuning in. You guys have been, we are on part 3 of Jedi 101, which is essentially Reiki training, but basically we are trying to create Jedis here. I'll get into that, but before I get into that, any of you people that follow me on Facebook, you know that I lost a cat here last night, and it was very traumatic, and it's, obviously it's still traumatic, and things like this silly show are difficult sometimes when things like that happen. It's not, obviously it's not a child or, family member, but it is a family member. But anyway, it's somewhat related to the subject that we're doing tonight because of the fact that it was a sick animal, and it was an animal that needed treatment. It was certainly an animal that I did some treatment on. But there's only so much you can do, and there's so much that I have to review, over what we talked about, because this is a very complex subject, of course. But before I get into those aspects, I first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody with their support and calls. It's a lot of people contacted me, and I appreciate it very much. Anyway, the thing with the cat, okay, obviously I treat people, I treat animals, Reiki, this kind of thing can be used to treat everything, and we'll talk about that a bit tonight. But this was a cat that was, he was sick. I think he had feline leukemia or feline immunity, kitty AIDS essentially. But the thing is that it was very sudden, all right. And when I went to basically talk to the animal and see what I could do, I knew right away what was going on, and I knew that this was a terminal situation. Okay, and it was funny because I tried to do some energy. I ran some energy on the animal when he was having his issues, and I could tell, because the animal's very cognitive, but at the same time, I knew it wasn't going to happen. Right? It wasn't going to make it, and but it did it. Now, but the thing is that when you lay hands on an animal or on a person, you, as I mentioned before, you move energy. When you move energy, you get information. Okay, so in this situation is no different, because the information that I got from the cat was that it was his heart, and sure enough, when we went to the hospital, the veterinarian, and had an X-ray, he had fluid in his lungs, but his heart was really huge. Pardon me, that's the dog acting like he's going to throw up over here, so bear with me. Anyway, his heart was huge, so he had a heart attack, basically, just like humans. And nothing you can do about that. Obviously, he would have had to have cardiac surgery and all sorts of crazy things. Would have been incredibly expensive, and it wasn't going to happen. But the bottom line is that it was an experience. So the thing is that we have to understand when we try to do these things that we can treat people, we can treat the pain, we can learn, we can do what we can, but there's really only so much we can do. We're not God, and when it's time, it's time. Dog over here throwing up behind me. My gosh. Anyway, I need someone to take care of this dog for me. All right, at the half hour, after the first hour, I'm going to give you the call number real quick right now because I just want to get this over with. But it's 347-688-2902. Okay? All right. Anyway, all right, enough of the cat. We'll get back into that maybe. But first thing I want to do is, again, this is basic Reiki. Again, your typical first course of Reiki usually takes at least about 6 or 7 hours of continuous course. So obviously 2 hours a show, it's ridiculous to think that we could really even complete this too quickly. But we're not really trying to do that. We're trying to cover a lot more information than just that. And also, I do appreciate all the feedback I've gotten from those of you that have been enjoying the information that we've been providing. Okay, again, real quick, I'm going to give you the 5 Reiki principles, and I want to review that every time because this is what it's all about. And if you cannot get past these principles and adopt these principles and make them part of your daily existence, you'll never be able to become a Reiki master or a Jedi, if you will. Okay. And I think so many of us that are listening, I know you guys are picking this stuff up, and I know you're applying it, and it's wonderful, but keep doing it. Rule number 1, principle number 1, just for today, I will not be angry. Okay. Anger is loose. It's a negative emotion. It's negative energy. It cancels your chi flow, and this is all about increasing chi flow. Just for today, I will not worry. That means about anything in the past, the future, and the present. Do not worry because that is also a negative emotion. Oh my gosh, barking dogs. I don't believe it. I'm going to have to put dogs out. Oh, God. Well, you know what? I've got a cordless mic, so I think I can do that and walk and put dogs out while I talk to you. Bear with me, you guys. Jeez. Hey, it's radio. All right, can you take this one too, please? My God. This live radio, my God. Pardon me, everybody. Okay, where was I? All right. Just for today, I will be grateful. All right. That's pretty simple. That's a simple concept. In most religions, just be grateful for everything you have. Be thankful. No matter how bad it is you think you've got, just be thankful for what you do have and be thankful that it isn't worse. And that's the best thing you can do, because it's like we're going to be talking about manifesting, and you'll find that when you're trying to manifest, when you're trying to make reality, you're trying to change reality and make something happen, the best way to do that is to act like you've already got it, it's already there, and you're thankful for having it. It's just like saying, if you want protection, you get in a car, you don't want to have a car accident or something, you want protection on during your travels, you say thank you for protecting me. You don't say please protect me. You say thank you for protecting me, and please continue to protect me. You act like it's already there. And that's rule number 1 for manifesting. When you're trying to manifest and make anything reality in your life, you have to act like it's already there. You have to assume that it's coming, it'll be there any second, and never lose hope and never lose faith, and just know that it will be there. So that's what causes reality to be modified. Oh, let's see. Just for today, I will be grateful. We did that. Just for today, I will work honestly, obviously, have integrity, do everything you can with integrity, and then you'll have nothing to regret. You will have no negative energy to disrupt your chi flow. And just for today, I will be kind to every loving thing. Obviously, that is the epitome of unconditional love. Your love and your kindness and your compassion has to apply to every living thing. Let me look at that one more time. Just for today, I will be kind to every living thing. Okay, that means exactly what it says. All right, you gotta understand that This does apply to food also, the animals that we eat, certainly compassion in the food, but, I'm not going to tell everybody to become a vegetarian. I certainly can't do it, but what I will tell you is to bless your food and be thankful for your food. Hell, if I go in my garden and I pick basil off of my basil plant, I tell the plant that I'm going to use it for food, and I thank it before I pick those leaves. And I have a little conversation before I pick every leaf. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's why we bless our food, and it's a good practice to get into. All right, we also did the 9 abilities, and I'm going to cover the 9 abilities again real quick because this is very important, and increasing our psychic skills really what it's all about. Okay, so ability number 1, self-control. All right, self-control. Control your actions, control your body, control your movements, control it's self-explanatory. Humility. You've got to become humble. All right. Now, there's nothing wrong with ego. People think that there's a problem with having an ego. Ego is natural, but you just can't abuse it. All right. And if you put your ego before others, then that's where the problem comes about. All right. So you cannot. It's okay to think that you're a good person and to love yourself. If that aspect of ego is fine, but you have to be humble, and you have to not put yourself above others, and that's really what it's all about. All right, unconditional love is rule number 3. Obviously, psychic gifts require unconditional love. You've got to learn that. That's a very important thing to learn before you can do any of this. Calmness. I know this is so difficult for people to do, and I've had discussions with a lot of my friends and those of you out there that are listening that we interact after these shows, and we've how hard it is to achieve a level of calm when there's so many things to be upset about, especially in the world today. I know if you look at my Facebook posts, you'd see all the things I complain about and the horrible things that are going on here in the U.S. and other places of the world. Usually it's something that we're responsible for. And yeah, bad things are coming, but that's why we're doing what we're doing. But it's very important to remain calm. And that reminds me of fear. I just want to, before I continue on this list here, I want to address the fear issue because the absence of fear could be called calm. Calm is sort of a very stable emotion, and it's a great place to be. It's a great way to also achieve quiet, which is necessary for to hear the voices, not the voices, but the source trying to give you information. But the thing about fear is that I made an announcement here on Facebook recently about some imminent threats coming in the form of antigens being added to the chemtrails, and the slow kill being kicked up to a fast kill for the Agenda 21 type situation that we know is coming upon us. And then with the Jade Helm and everything else, you've got to be ignorant to not see it coming, but it is coming, and this is why we're doing what we're doing, is because this is our preparation for this. But a lot of people say that is fear mongering, and throwing out all kinds of fear and telling people what to do. No, it's not fear at all. Okay, this is not it. It's first of all, it's just information. It was not intended to make anybody go into panic mode. And if you aren't paying attention, you can't see that these horrible things are coming anyway, then you're not paying attention. But the thing is that the thing with fear is that you need to spread it out in small doses. And for us to be Jedi and for us to be leaders, it's necessary for us to be able to maintain a level of calm and strength and discipline and ability to think logically and in the face of incredible evil and tragedy. And so basically what I'm saying is that if by giving everyone out teaspoon doses of this fear, and by treating this fear issue bit by bit, dose by small dose by small dose, it's very much the same as immunizing yourself against snake venom. You take small doses until you're able to withstand a full dose, and this is what happens. You build up an immunity, and this is the same thing that we need to do with fear. Is by exposing ourselves to this information on a regular basis in small doses, we get over it. And I'm not suggesting that we need to become numb, but what I'm saying is that when the excrement hits the fan, if you will, there's going to be a lot of panic and a lot of freaking out. And if something horrible happens and there's massive loss of life and what have you, people are. It's very possible that events could take place that will be beyond the ability for most people to comprehend or deal with. And what will happen is we'll have capable adults going into a fetal position and becoming completely useless. So that's why we do what we do. This is why we continue to disseminate this information, so that when the time comes, we'll be ready. We'll have seen it. We'll know what to expect, and it won't be a surprise, and it's not going to be a big shock. It's kind of like dealing with the whole concept of aliens. The people that are clueless and still sleeping, when something happens with extraterrestrials and what have you, and something will probably happen very soon, they're going to freak out. They'll be like the people back during the War of the Worlds and Edgar. Oh my God, isn't it? You know who I'm talking about? H.G. Wells or Burroughs, whatever his name was. The guy that did the show. All right. Okay, calmness and unconditional love, calmness and focus. All right, number 5, non-attachment. Okay, that just means material possessions. All right. If you want to unlock your psychic abilities, you've got to control your attachment to your material goods. They cannot own you. You've got to be able to lose them. Seriously, that's really what it means. Is that you are, if it was to be taken away from you tomorrow, you would not blink. You've got to be able to lose everything and not get upset about it. So do not attach your emotions to your material goods. Intuition. Perfect the use of your natural intuitive psychic ability. All right, that just means listen to the voices in your head. Learn to use your intuition. This is the number one step to becoming psychic, is knowing what your intuition is and using it, because it's that little thing that comes to you. Your intuition, that is it. That is the answer. That is what you need to. When you achieve your calmness and focus, and you're able to listen to that intuition. Self-knowledge is number 7, and again, that has to do with meditation and building your intuition powers and learning to go inside your head and basically teach yourself. All right, and learn what you need to learn. Happiness. Obviously, you've got to be happy. All right, you can't have the negative emotion. You've got to, if you want to have that chi flow, you've got to keep positive all the time. All right, calm and positive. And once you have mastered all, you achieve the last, and that is freedom. Okay. All right. So those are the psychic 9 abilities. Oh, goodness gracious. Let me just look at the clock here. What do we got here? 22 minutes. All right. Well, that's not too bad. Okay. I'm going to get into some of the aspects of Reiki, some of the rules, things like that, healing. We did talk about, there's just so many details, and it is really helpful when you guys ask questions, because that gives me good directions to go, and I know what you're missing out on. Let me talk real quick about the attunement process, okay? And this is kind of important. The attunement process to become a Reiki certified. When you go through a Reiki course, level 1, level 2, or level 3. At the end of every course, you go through a ritual, if you will, and this ritual is called the attunement. And during an attunement, what happens is your master, your Reiki master, performs a series of signs, if you will, over the student. Hang on, I got to take a drink. Okay, now, as I mentioned before, Reiki has symbols, at least 4 major symbols, and the symbols are all used during the attunement process. Now, the question that was asked was by the listener was whether or not it was necessary to go through the attunement process in order to become a Reiki master, and what I should expand upon what he said. But what another way of saying that is it necessary to have a master perform the attunement ceremony on you in order to become a healer, or to be able to access this energy and use these gifts? All right, let me try to address that issue. If you want to become a Reiki master per se, and if you want to have a Reiki certification, and remember, this is not a measure of your ability to heal. It is nothing more than the acknowledgement of your completion of a course of a specific modus of treatment. So you can be a gifted healer and not need to take Reiki. However, if you want to be a Reiki certified healer, then yes, it is necessary to complete the course, which means that you do also have to be there in person with a hands-on experience with an actual Reiki master who will perform the attunement on you. Now, does the attunement actually do anything? This is a important question. You could look at the attunement as one of the more woo-woo or voodoo type of situations, because basically, again, the student essentially sits in a chair in front of the master, and then the master goes through several steps involving the use of multiple symbols. And these symbols are done in certain sequences. Excuse me. And during these sequences, various intentions are placed upon the student by the master, and certain rich visualizations are actually done. Now, in a Buddhist ideas, well, I'm not an expert on Buddhism, but let me just say that this is reminiscent of it seems to be a reoccurring theme in Buddhism. In the Falun Gong aspect or sect of the Buddhism, the master places what is called a Falun inside of the believer. And the Falun is actually another word for swastika. Obviously the swastika is a very ancient symbol, and it goes back long before Hitler ever came along. But in Buddhism, they use the swastika as a symbol for a device that gathers energy and gives energy out. So, as you can imagine, as the swastika rotates, much like a turbine, it sucks energy in one direction, and as it rotates in the opposite direction, it gives energy out. And this is what they believe, is that when the master places this thing inside of them, that this is actually physically there, and it's actually doing this gathering and giving out energy at various different times. In a Reiki attunement process, one of the things that the master does is he actually will visualize opening up the back of the student's head and placing a chokurei, which is the power symbol, inside of the person. So yes, there is some powerful visualization going on, and again, if you do believe in this and you want to pursue this, it's also very important to have a very good Reiki master that's doing the work on you, because obviously the quality of your course and the quality of your attunement, if you will, is going to be dependent on the skills and strength of the chi of the master that you're dealing with. So that's a commercial for me. If you want Reiki courses, I like to think I'm a good Reiki master, and wouldn't that be fun to get trained by me? Ha ha ha. But you have to come to California. I can't go to where you are unless, of course, you're going to fly me on a private plane. I don't do planes otherwise. Okay, now I'm going to start going into some of the some other aspects of Reiki, and I'm not really going to talk too much about the mechanics or the details just yet. I just want to cover some various different factoids, if you will. Okay, Henry's coming back in the house. Hang on, I got to lock him up. Henry, get over here. Oh my gosh. All right, if I can get this dog on the... Just love it. Here, I'm going to interrupt the show so I can tie the dog up here. Here we go. All right, very good. Dog is tied up. Okay. There are a few things that they suggest, and again, this is just suggestions. I can't really say if this is true or not, but I'm going to say this because, it's part of the Reiki course. But they say, do not use Reiki on any broken bones before it has been set, because the healing process will be accelerated and the setting will take place in the wrong position. All right. Now, it's an interesting point, but like I said, I did treat somebody and the bone actually reset itself. So, but that seems logical. Okay, treating someone under the influence of alcohol may bring about a hangover very quickly. Okay, so if you're, somebody that's drunk and you start treating them, don't be surprised if they become undrunk real quick. It becomes a problem for them. Never give a Reiki treatment after drinking alcohol yourself. I should probably mention that alcohol is considered a spirit. Okay, hang on. My throat's a little screwed up. And anyway, drugs and alcohol. A lot of people think that when you're on various drugs or alcohol, whatever, that you break up, you fracture your aura, and you leave yourself wide open for all sorts of negative entity penetration. Okay, to a degree that is true, but two things. First, that which makes you calm is good. All right, never forget that. Second of all, everything in moderation. Okay, which means if you're smoking pot, you're having a few drinks, yes, your aura is going to get bigger. All right. But it's not going to be a problem unless you do too much. If you do too much, then yes, it will expand to the point to where it fractures, and then you will have holes, and you will have bad things can get in there. And this is probably why they're suggesting that you don't drink when you're treating somebody, because your energy is not going to be quite where it should be. Also, we should also remember that energy always goes for the highest level of vibration, meaning that the correct sine wave, the energy needs to be recalibrated to, will always go to the highest level of correction. It will never, your energy will not cause someone else's sine wave to deform. Okay, and you can't hurt their sine wave. You can only make it better. Okay, so that means, that's what they mean when they say energy will always go to the highest level of vibration. If someone's taking regular medication for a long-term condition, blood pressure, whatever, and you're treating them regularly, you should advise them to have their doctor check their medication needs on a regular basis. The reason for this is because Reiki will enhance the effects of various different drugs. So if somebody is on a certain medication and you are treating them, they need to go back to their doctor and be checked to see if they can get away with lowering the medication, because there's a very strong possibility that your treatment has improved their situation, and it would be advisable for them to perhaps cut back on those medications. I mean, that's what happens. When you get better, you don't need it. But if you're not if you're not taking into consideration the effects of your Reiki treatments, then you may overlook the improvement. Now, If in doubt about how you should conduct a treatment, ask for guidance from the divine realms. Okay. Now, this should be self-explanatory, because when you do this, when you're trying to help somebody, you're going to pray. All right. Call it what you want, setting intentions, whatever, but you are going to pray. All right, some people freak out when I say this, but obviously I ask for help from Jesus. Say, help me, help this person. Okay, give me the ability to help this person. And then, of course, it's thank you for giving me the ability to help this person. Okay, you've got to do that always before you. If you want this to be effective, that's what you've got to do. In fact, when my treatments have been always most effective, it's when I got down and I sat there and I just asked and begged that, please let me help this person. And it always is, it's miraculous what happens. So now, there are a few other legal issues involving Reiki, and I could say this is an ethics thing, but you should always suggest to the recipient that they should seek medical advice for their condition. To a doctor. You never want to tell them, don't go to the doctor, because, you're going to, if anything, what the doctor is going to do is verify what you've done. Obviously, there are many situations where I don't trust doctors. I mean, certainly with the whole vaccine issue, I mean, you've seen me say many times, dead doctors don't lie. That seems really evil thing to say, but it's the AMA it's an evil institution. I have to tell you, it was created by the Rockefellers to promote the sale of petroleum-based pharmaceuticals. So, evil, pure evil. There's nothing. It's I'm having a really hard time finding any institution or government agency in this country that isn't completely evil. It's really sad. Another thing, and this is also. It's like you never say that you're going to heal something. It's like healing cancer. You cannot go out and say, "Yeah, I'm going to heal cancer." You just don't do that. So like I said, just don't talk the people out of going into a regular doctor. Now, another thing that you should do if you're going to treat somebody, obviously this is after you've been certified and you are a Reiki practitioner, and certainly I would expect people, before you're actually going out there and treating people, at least, like quasi-professionally, that you complete the course and achieve Reiki level 3. But the thing is that, you shouldn't stop. I mean, that shouldn't stop you from going out and doing it right away to everybody around you. But when you do get to do it, the best thing to do is to you actually have a form, for people that you're working on. You actually have them fill out their information, their vitals. If they're having any kind of issues, physical issues, whatnot, you write this down and you record everything. And then after, it's just like being a doctor. After a while, you're going to be able to have a nice little record of their improvement and what have you. But it gives you information what to work with, and healing requires information, but it also kind of covers you from a legal aspect. It acts like an agreement, a permission to be treated. So very important. Obviously, especially if you're treating a stranger, you've got to be careful that you don't do something that could get you in trouble legally. All right, I'm going to talk about some of the other uses of Reiki. Obviously, healing people and treating illnesses is number one, but there's other aspects. Okay, first of all, Reiki can be used on children and babies before and after birth. Okay, you can certainly, obviously, you can help a pregnant mother. You can treat the baby at the same time. Okay, that's obviously, you want to, any medical situation, and certainly childbirth is a medical situation. Reiki can help improve and make everything better, and at the very least, it can minimize pain, and it can certainly help the child and reduce some of the trauma of the childbirth. plants and animals. Sorry. Obviously, it can be used with pets and animals to great effect, just like babies and children. And again, let your intuition and your instinct guide you where to put your hands and how long to leave them in the position. And it's useful on plants, of course, and it can get them through the stress. Even if you're doing a garden, and you're transplanting or you're germinating seeds, you can use your Reiki to help that bring life. And I recommend circular movements of the hands when you're beaming the Reiki energy, because remember, it's movement and intention. Obviously, I tried using the Reiki on the kitty cat last night, and I got to tell you, when I laid my hands on the kitty cat, it was uncomfortable. He didn't like it, and it's kind of weird, but that happens. Obviously, you can do this from a distance, but you got to have cooperation. If the animals if it's time, it's time, and there's really nothing you can do. And the way this energy works, sometimes the body does resist. So, okay, food and drink at meal times. Obviously, Reiki can be very beneficial to your food. All right. I mean, think about it. This is no different than blessing your food, praying over your food. We've talked about this before on the show, even during cooking your food, the energy that you release into the food during cooking, even the way you stir it. When you stir your food, it's like a witch's brew. You want to stir your food clockwise, always clockwise. That's positive healing energy. So you want to put positive healing energy in your food, stir it clockwise when you're cooking. But remember, when you're consuming your food, everybody that comes into contact with it, from the growers, the farmers, to the all the way up to the person that packages it in the supermarket, puts it in the bag and hands it to you, they attach their negative energy to it. Their bad chi can be attached to that food. So this is why we bless our food, because we have to cleanse it of any kind of negative energy. And remember, a lot of the times, the food that we're dealing with, especially when you're talking about vegetables and plants and living matter like that, or it has life force energy, and even remember, water is a sponge. It's a chi superconductor. So all of this food and everything that contains water, just like our bodies, also contains massive amounts of chi and various different types of intentions. So this is why we have to bless our food. And at the same time, not only are we when we bless our food, we're not just cleansing it, but we're also giving thanks to the plant or the animal for sacrificing itself for our well-being, and we are inviting that animal, that organism, to become part of us. And believe it or not, this is a good thing. And I'll tell you, like when I talk to my basil, when the plant understands that it is going to become part of you, it understands that, and it accepts that, and it accepts it as a good thing. So, I mean, with animals, of course, certainly their slaughterhouses are horrible, horrible places. But I'm sure when the Jews do their kosher thing, I think there may be something to that. Obviously, you have to bless the animal, and you recognize the life force. It's kind of like if you've watched that movie. What is it? Avatar, when they kill the animal and they bless it and thank it. It's the same thing. We've got to do that. Okay, so if you want to, you're going to, think about a glass of water. My gosh, this is Dr. Emoto. You look at that glass of water and you love that glass of water. You tell that water you love it. It's beautiful. You thank it and you bless that water, and it will be so good for you. It's just like, you certainly, water we know from Dr. Emoto. And of course, obviously, if you don't know about Dr. Emoto, you need to read up on him, Emoto, Dr. Emoto. And but bottom line is the food and the water holds this energy. So you got to keep it clear. Okay. Now the Reiki also will work with any other healing mode. These things all work together. Crystals. We could talk about crystals. I know that there were some people who wanted to know about pendulums and dowsing rods. So, all right. Well, let me see if I can talk about pendulums and dowsing rods for a little bit here. First of all, as we know, energy travels in a helical form. It's a circular helix. A helix is a spiral or a corkscrew, and male energy travels in one direction clockwise, and female energy travels in the opposite direction counterclockwise, and creates a double helix. Now, when you are using a pendulum is essentially just a weight, usually a spherical, something balanced. It doesn't really, I mean, it could be anything. It could pick up a rock or a pine cone. I've made pendulums in the wild with pine cones, just to treat somebody in the boonies. But what a pendulum does is you're holding it over a person or whatever it is, and you're asking it to talk to you, basically. And so basically the way it works, you start out, you open up your palm, and you hold the pendulum by the string so that it's dangling over your palm, and you try to hold it still, and you try to get this thing to hold very, very still. And then you ask the pendulum, you say, show me yes, and you wait for it to move. And then whichever way it moves, that is your yes indication. Usually it's a rocking back and forth or a rotation. And then you say, show me no, and it will move in another direction. And then you could say, show me maybe. And I know this sounds crazy, but this is what you do. You talk to the pendulum. And then once I've done that, you can basically ask me a question, and I can take that pendulum and I could look at the pendulum, and depending on what direction that pendulum moves will indicate a yes or a no or a maybe, depending on what the pendulum had indicated to me was the position for yes, no, or maybe. People say, oh, well, that's you moving the pendulum. Well, no kidding. I'm holding it. Of course, it's me moving the pendulum. But this is being done subconsciously. You're not actively trying to move the pendulum. You're actually trying as everything you can to hold that pendulum still. But for whatever reason, subtly or otherwise, the pendulum will move. That is called your subconscious interacting with the superconscious. Your superconscious connects to the subconscious of the person asking the question or the person that you're searching for or whatever it is. But bottom line is that the superconscious is where the information is located. That is your Akashic records or source or whatever it is. But the point is through your subconscious, you access the superconscious, and that's where this information comes from. Now, so your subconscious is what's controlling the pendulum, and your subconscious is the same thing that controls your heartbeat and controls your breathing, and these are all things that you really have no control over, but they work, and if they didn't work, you would die. So that shows you how important your subconscious is. People think this is nonsense. Just try to survive one day without your subconscious. Excuse me, I'm going to take another drink. I'll call that a moment of silence for the cat. Sorry. Anyway, I'll get to the dowsing rods, but let me finish with the pendulums. In Reiki, when we use a pendulum, typically the person will be lying on a table on their back, usually with their eyes closed. And I'll take a pendulum. My pendulum is just a piece of quartz that I have some string tied to, a piece of dental floss or something, or anything. It could be a little gold chain with a pendant. Doesn't matter. But I dangle it over the person I'm treating, and I start with I do it over all the chakra points. Okay, so the 7 basic chakras, which start at the top of the head and go down to the crotch and or root chakra. And I guess we'll talk some more about chakras in a little bit, but basically, as I mentioned before, energy travels through your body from the top of your head out, from the crown chakra out down the root chakra, and the female energy travels from the root chakra up and out the crown chakra. It also travels through your body through your chakra points, which run perpendicular or at right angles to the energy that's going up and down through your body. So basically, the energy that's traveling through your chakras is horizontal to you. If you're standing up straight, this energy is going to be traveling in the front and out the back, and in the back and out the front in each of these chakra places. Now, chakras can almost act like valves, if you will. And what that means is that if you are having issues with psychological issues or physical issues pertaining to a area of your body that is reflected by a certain chakra point, then you can have a blockage at those points. And certainly any blockages that you have up along your chakra system is going to disrupt the ability for you to move chi through your body, which is going to completely shut down your ability to do Reiki and heal and everything else. So it's important to release those blockages. And one of the ways that we do that is with a pendulum. Okay, obviously you can do the same thing with your hands. I think of it this way: when I work on chakras, typically, and of course, very often, it's the heart chakra, which is the big problem with most people. And I like to flush it out. Think of this as like plumbing. Okay, and it's, again, the water and the plumbing is a wonderful parallel way of understanding what we're doing here. But if I place my hand on your chest, my left hand on your chest, and I place my right hand on your forehead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the energy out of my left hand very hard into your heart chakra, and I'm going to suck it out through your crown chakra, okay, or your third eye. Okay, usually if I put my hand on your forehead, I'm doing your third eye. So I've achieved two purposes here. I'm flushing out any blockages in your heart chakra, and I'm flushing out the blockages from everything up to your crown chakra, because I want to push out from the crown. Oh my goodness gracious. So let's think of it like Roto-Rooter. Think of it as like if you got a stuck drain and you take your garden hose and you shove it down the sink and you plug up everything really good with rags, and then you turn the hose on and the pressure shoots in there and pushes the clog down the drain. This is exactly the same thing we're doing when we're clearing chakras by pushing using energy. Okay, so that's one way of clearing the chakras. Another way, of course, is by using the pendulum. And typically, what the first time you usually use during a Reiki treatment, you'll use the pendulum on the person twice. And a pendulum can be used for either diagnosing the level of the health of the chakras. In other words, it's like I can look at if I'm holding a pendulum over a chakra point, I'm looking for rotation. On a man, I want to see, I want to see clockwise rotation. On a woman, I want to see counterclockwise rotation, because that's the male and the female energy. So if there's a good flow of that energy, that's the way I expect this thing to turn. If I don't see any movement whatsoever, I'm going to assume that is blocked. Obviously, if it's going in the wrong direction, then there's some kind of hormonal thing going on there, but that's not really a problem. The main thing we're looking for is to see if it's blocked. So you go do the 7 chakras, you hold the thing over there and you check each chakra. That's just diagnosis. Usually the person that you're working on doesn't know anything, but this gives you a little bit of an indication if there have been areas that you might want to work on. If you hold it over a certain spot and you're getting a lot of activity, you hold it over one spot and you're getting zero activity, then you know that you want to work on the spot with the zero activity by either pushing energy or what have you. Now, after you've done your treatment, you would go back over the person with your pendulum over the different chakra areas, and you would look for changes in the whether or not there is movement, if it's rotating in the way that you would like to see. Now, if there is no rotation, you can actually rotate it yourself, and doing that will actually stimulate and force it to move. It's almost like, again, it's more of a drain cleaning. So if I've got somebody and I'm using a pendulum on them and I am not getting any kind of response like that, I will actually use the pendulum to treat that chakra. So by having that little crystal or whatever it is, pendulum, spinning around, it's essentially forcing the energy to do the same thing. And obviously it's like my intention is doing the same thing. So it's just like when you're stirring a pot of water or you're stirring a pot of soup or whatever, it's the same thing. You're using your visualization to force that energy to start rotating, and you're stirring it. You're stirring it with the pendulum. Okay, now dowsing rods. Okay. Dowsing rods typically can be either a pair of wires that are usually bent at a right angle, and you hold them in one in each hand, and these things flip around. They go in different different directions. It can be a forked stick, or it can even be a pendulum for that matter. And people want to know what is going on. Again, usually someone is holding on to this thing, so there is that the same thing with the pendulum. There is that connection to the superconscious. But the big difference with a dowsing rod, per se, when you are looking for, say, historically people use dowsing rods to search for water. They want to drill a well. There's the you see the old farmer. He's got the guy comes out with his forked stick and he walks around the plantation or whatever until stick points at the ground. He says, "Okay, right here, this is where you want to dig your well." Okay, why? What's going on? Okay, the well, obviously, water contains massive amounts of energy. We know this. So what is it that the stick is picking up? It's picking up the energy from that well. Something else that should be noticed is that the energy, when it comes up from the ground, where at the location of the well, is going to be in a spiral, just like we said. So if you were to look at if you could see the energy on the ground, at the side of the ground, it's going to look like a big spiral. And that means is if you go and as your stick or your thing goes over these bands, you're going to see movement. Oh, there's our break time, guys. Okay, stick around. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. We'll take calls. All right? Thanks.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Imagine. Just imagine.
Imagine a world
where every child and adult will have the opportunity to achieve their dreams.
I believe my inspiration is the answer.
My inspiration is the greatest light.
The greatest energy.
It was born when the universe was sparked into life.
It's within everything.
My inspiration transforms pain into happiness.
And failure into success.
My inspiration inspires lives.
It inspires lives.
It inspires human lives. My inspiration is always shining like the sun.
But it doesn't mean that it's alive.
For centuries, my inspiration was in prison.
In prison.
In prison.
It doesn't belong there.
Its home is to be known to all people.
My inspiration is in trouble. We are fighting for its life right now.
Right this moment.
This moment.
Millions all over the world want to go beyond their limitations.
Liberate their dreams and reach success. The failure of us all to be someone
is the biggest disease
of all time.
Each day our brothers and sisters die. Please help us to birth this inspiration to life.
And that will stop this disease.
Help us get the word out of our inspiration.
Help us.
Help us.
It's our shared belief for a better future beyond the horizon. Let's write the future.
Heroism is here.
Stand up and grasp it.
Stand up.
Stand up and grasp it. Stand up. Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up for the dreams of all people.
This is Nighthawk from Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And now is your time to stand up and make a difference or fade away. Fade.
Transcending time and space, let us take you to the place inside your mind where thoughts divide and mysteries unwind. Join us every Monday evening right here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And you will catch the Fenton Perspective with our great host, Lorian Fenton. Come listen in as she shares her amazing stories from the past to present, along with all of her guest secrets to the future. That's the Fenton Perspective every Monday evening right here from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, only on Revolution Radio. Oh, and you don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to the Stephen D. Kelley Show. I am still your host, Stephen D. Kelley. Second half of the show, we open it up to callers. If you'd like to call in, if you have questions, I know I'm going to deal with a few of the questions coming from chat, but no excuse to call in and actually join us live. So if you would like to do that, call us at 347-688-2902. That's 347-688-2902. You should be writing this down because I am going to be giving you information tonight that you should write down, and we're going to be talking about symbols. I'm going to give you names. There's things I want you to look up and Google so that you can do these things at home. All right? So you should be doing that. You should be taking notes. Again, this is Revolution Radio at www.freedomslips.com. It should be mentioned that we are the largest listener-supported radio station there is, and that means we do require your donations to continue doing what we're doing. Please go to our site support page, which is easy to find. You go to the www.freedomslips.com, and on the left side, there's a blue button that says Donate. All right, click on that, and it'll tell you what to do. Do what you can. It's all appreciated. And it certainly helps, and it's noble work that we do, and you're helping us is certainly noble, noble indeed. So we really do honestly appreciate all of your help. We also have a Facebook page. If you have not joined it, please consider doing so as your earliest convenience, and it's easy enough to find. If you're on Facebook, just do a search for Revolution Radio or Freedom Slips, and you'll get it. I don't know how many we got. We're getting close to 6,000-7,000 people, but it'd be a lot of fun if we had 10 times that many people on our Facebook page. So please do that. Also, I have my own Facebook page, Stephen D. Kelley. If you have not gone there, please do it. Google my name, and you'll find all the videos and lectures and all of the fun stuff that I've done in the past. I'm going to give you 2 emails here real quick. Also, again, these are things to write down. Are you ready? Here we go. If you would like to communicate with me, say thank you or screw you or keep doing what you're doing or do something else, you can write to me at my email, which is law17gun@aol.com. That's LAW17GUN at AOL.com. Law17gun@AOL.com. Very old email, left over from my laser days. Also, if you want to help me out on PayPal, there's a specific email for that, and it is StephenKelley714@gmail.com. Of course, that's my name, StevnKelley 714@gmail.com. And a couple of you guys have kicked down a little bit, and I really do appreciate it, and I actually had somebody send me an email and they asked me how I was doing financially, and gosh, that if you know me, you know that I don't do financially. I'm completely dependent on the generosity of all of you. So and I'm not constantly asking people to help me out, and I don't think I've really done it. I only do it once in a while, usually if I'm starving or one of the animals is in trouble. But obviously, oh God. Let me just say, it wasn't getting the cat X-rayed last night would have been a lot cheaper just to put him to sleep immediately. But you don't do that, right? So anyway, but if you want to help me out, there, that's my PayPal. So, oh yeah, also my book is the Cities Under the Plane. Please think about reading my book. I really wish you'd read it anyway. I'd love to I'd give it away if I could get everybody to read it. But it's on Amazon Kindle. And if you don't have Kindle, you can download it and read it on your PC. But it's Cities Under the Plane. And if you go to Amazon and do a search for my name, you'll find it also. All right, thank you. We're going to continue with the Jedi 101. Again, remember, we do want you to call in. Now is the time. So the number, again, real quick, is 347-688-2902. Also, Terry Joyce is producing tonight. If you want to call in via Skype, you can use her Skype, which is Freedom of Joyce, or you can use the station Skype, which is Freedom Screen. Wow, isn't that funny, Terry? You got the Freedom of Joyce and Freedom Screen. You got, wow, interesting. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Where were we? Okay. I was talking about using Reiki with other therapies. And basically, and we were talking about crystals and dowsing rods, and I hope that answered the questions about the dowsing rods. The main thing, though, that I want to say about the dowsing rods is that when you are when you're trying to like dig a well and you're finding these, the energy kind of appears like rings, okay? Because when you'll see the rod will go up and down, and the experience or the practitioner will actually be able to interpret this information, but it's not a rings per se. It's a spiral, but obviously when you're traveling across the edges inwards of the spiral, it appears like you're going over ridges or rings. But that's exactly what it is. And we also have to remember that Reiki is not a religion. It does not conflict with a person's belief or cultural background. Okay. Most cultures embrace forms of laying on of hands, and this is recognized as a healing force that's attributed to God, however you choose to describe God. Okay? All right. Now, as I mentioned before, you can do this from a distance, and let me talk about this here real quick. All right. Well, what I'm going to do. I know that I talked last week about the various different forms of what's actually taking place when you're healing, but right now what I want to do is I'm going to give you something to work with here. Okay. Now the thing about Reiki is typically, historically, this stuff was a closely guarded secret. Okay, the so-called Reiki masters, the last thing they wanted was for the average schmoes out there to have access to the symbols or the rituals or the methods and what have you that they use. They kept it very secret. They kept it very woo-woo, if you will, and they liked it. They cloaked everything in this aura of mystery, and that was good for marketing as well as giving it a mystique. But the thing is that obviously that's changing, especially here in America. Go figure. We're making this stuff. We're putting it out there, especially like, for instance, the attunement process. Typically, the attunement ritual that the master performs on the student is something that you just don't learn. And the student does not get exposed to this or does not actually learn how to perform an attunement until they have achieved master status. So there is something to it, and I suppose that it is worthwhile to go through that process. But anyway, let's now. Last week I introduced everybody to the primary symbol, the power symbol, which is called the Cho Ku Rei, CHO, and this is 3 words. It's not 1 word, but it's first word CHO, second word KU, and the third word REI, Cho Ku Rei. Write that down, Google it, get the image, and print it out. That is the main symbol. Symbol number 2 is called the Sei-Hei Ki. That's SEIHEIKI. Okay, 3 words. Sei-Hei Ki. SEIHEIKI. Okay. Now, the Sei-Hei Ki is what is known as the emotion symbol. Okay. Now, in healing, we don't really use the Sei-Hei Ki very often, except in situations where there's great sadness, emotional instability, heartbreak, something of this nature. Okay. Obviously, if we're trying to give somebody strength, I mean, this is the thing. It's up to you when you are working on somebody and you're using these symbols, you choose what symbol you think is appropriate for what it is that you're doing. So you may not always use the Seihei key, but it is good for anything involving emotion. So so there's, you can think about it. There's probably lots of instances where you can use it, but it's there's nothing wrong with using any of these symbols at any time. But it's just usually the intentions associated with each specific symbol are relatively specific. So when you perform these symbols, you are doing it with the belief that you are actually using it to represent that same intention. Okay. Now, here's another symbol. And now this symbol here is really important. Okay. This is the one that we use in distance healing. Okay. And trust me, if you want your distance healing to work, you need to use this symbol, because when I get lazy and I don't use it, it's just not that effective. I mean, trust me, you don't need to do any of this. You can sit here and just pray for somebody if you want to, and it's going to work. But the thing is if you really go to all the effort, you do these little rituals, the effect is incredible. I mean, all the most incredible healing processes I've witnessed I've actually had to go through the whole process. But anyway, this symbol, the distance symbol, is called the Han Sha Ze Shou Nen. Okay, Han Sha Ze Shou Nen. All right, that's spelled, first word, H-O-N, Han, Sha, S-H-A, Ze, Z-E, Z, if you will, Shou, S-H-O, and Nen, N-E-N. Okay? Shou, let's see, Han Sha Ze Shou Nen. Okay, there's actually 5 symbols. Now, again, I can't show you the symbol here on the radio, but what you're going to do is you are going to Google this stuff. Now, when you're Googling it, what you're going to do, the best way to do it is to just Google the phrase Reiki symbols. Okay, and these things will come up. Now, obviously, when the Reiki symbols come up, you're going to see the primary symbols, the ones that I'm going to be talking about right now. But there's a lot of secondary symbols. Don't even worry about the secondary symbols at this time. Just focus on the primary symbols. And also, it should be noted that the primary symbol, the power symbol, can be done in a clockwise or a counterclockwise form. The spiral that we use is actually counterclockwise. And I know this sounds contradictory to what I've been saying, because normally we use a clockwise motion for healing. But I suspect that when you are when you have the finger pointed at you and the person is doing the spiral counterclockwise, from your observation, it appears to be going clockwise. So I believe you're getting the clockwise energy. Anyway, okay, back to the Han Sha Ze Shou Nen. Okay, everybody got that. Han Sha Ze Shou Nen. Okay, very important symbol. Got to get this one down. Now, of course, with the first 2 symbols I gave you, the Choku Rei and the Seihei Ki, those are abstract shapes. Those are abstract patterns. They are not Japanese or Chinese symbols, if you will. Okay. Now, the Han Sha Ze Shou Nen, on the other hand, is actually, I believe, calligraphy or Japanese characters. All right, and if somebody can verify that and see if I'm wrong, but those symbols are actually, so needless to say, they're not the easiest for me to remember. But I'll tell you, if I was ever going to get a tattoo, it would probably be the Han Sha Ze Shou Nen, because it's nice to have around. Because if you need to work on somebody, you need to have that in front of you. If you can't remember what it looks like, obviously the Seihei Ki and the Choku Rei are very easy patterns to remember, but this thing is not so easy. And I'll explain to you how you use these patterns here real quick. There's one other pattern that is important, and of course this is the fourth or the final of the primary symbols, and that is the master symbol. also known as the Daiko-myo. Okay. Now, as you can imagine, yes, as a master symbol, this is, one of those things that they kind of kept secret. Okay. So, me being a Reiki master telling you guys, oh yeah, go look these things up, that's kind of like betraying it, but I don't keep secrets very well. All right. So anyway, Daiko-myo, that's spelled, okay, again, that's 3 words. First word, Dai, is D-A-I, Ko, K-O, Myo, M-Y-O. Okay, Daiko-myo. All right. Again, those are 3 Japanese characters, and those are the most important symbols. Now, the master symbol typically is not used very often in healing. Okay, it is a master symbol, which means that it conveys a master energy. It's a very strong energy, and it's most appropriate when you want to give somebody a strength that would allow them to be dominant, if you will. For instance, I had a woman who needed help with she was having issues with, she was doing a public speaking engagement or something like this, and it involved her having to deal with somebody who was a problem, an antagonist, if you will. And so she needed, I gave her, I didn't just give her the emotional support. Obviously, she needed emotional support, so I would use the Seihei Ki, but I also use the Daiko-myo because I wanted to give her the strength of a master. I wanted to give her the ability to be stronger than these people who were trying to oppress her, and it worked very well. Now, okay, so let me just tell you the quickie. Now, again, obviously, if you want to be a Reiki practitioner, you need to be certified. But if you want to give this a try, I have no problem with this. But this is what you do. We're going to talk about distance healing. Now, bear in mind, distance healing is not Reiki 1. Okay, this is advanced Reiki. I'm not sure if it's Reiki 2 or Reiki 3. I'd have to go back and figure that out. But when you want to send distance healing to somebody, whatever it is, the first thing that I like to do is I like to have that person give me permission to do it. Okay, they have to be wanting it, and they have to be expecting it. Okay, and it also helps, of course, if I know what the problem is. If they tell me what the problem is, the area that I'm going to treat, they want me to work on. And of course, it doesn't have to be the person, like, for instance, Max. When Max called in and his mother was dying, he sent me her picture. And that's all I needed was her picture. I could connect to her instantaneously. And of course, she wasn't cognizant of what I was doing. She wasn't asking, but it didn't hurt. Okay, but typically for this to really work well, you would like your patient to know, to be ready for it, to be receptive. Okay, and that's a very key word, is being receptive. They need to be receptive. They need to believe, and they need to be willing, and they need to be receptive. Okay, they got to be sitting there waiting for that energy, and they got to just enjoy it. Now, so what you do in the healing process is I'll get my little symbols in front of me, and I'll sit down, and I'll kind of put my hands in a praying position. That's actually called a gaucho in Reiki. They call that a gaucho, which is, obviously you see that with monks and what have you. They put their hands in that kind of position where your palms are together and your fingers are pointed upwards. That's like a prayerful position, but that's called a gaucho. So you're going to do that, and you're going to bow your head down. And you're actually going to touch your forehead with your tips of your fingers. I know this sounds crazy, but think about that. This is really something to this, because you are connecting your hands to your third eye. You're closing your eyes, and you're concentrating, and you're focusing, and you're asking for permission to help this person and to channel the energy and to heal whatever it is that this person needs healed. Very, very important. You've got to sit down. You've got to get a calm, quiet place, and you have to prayerfully ask to be able to help. Now, this doesn't take very long. Okay, it only takes a moment to sit there and to ask to be able to do this. That's it. And once you've done this, once you've asked permission, you take your hand, you point your finger in the air, and you draw the first symbol, the Shoku-rei. You draw it in the air in front of you. And you do this 3 times. And as you're doing it, you say the words Choku-rei, Choku-rei, Choku-rei. Each time you draw the symbol, you say the words. This is very important because 2 things are happening. You're using the movement to draw the symbol which contains the intention. You are also saying the words, which is moving the sound waves, which is the vibration or the sine wave, which contains the information attached to the name of the symbol. So there's power in the symbol and there's power in the name of the symbol. So saying the words. So just drawing the symbol has power, but if you're going to draw the symbol, say the name of the symbol as you're drawing it. More power. Okay, some people say you can whisper this, say it yourself. I say no. Say it out loud. You want to say it quietly, that's okay, but say it. It needs to be out loud. All right? So now you've done the first step. You said the Choku-rei, Choku-rei, Choku-rei. Then you go to the distance symbol. Very important. You got to do this next. That is the Han-sha-ze shonen. And of course, it's a complex symbol. And don't worry about drawing it completely wrong. You know, your fingers are just going in little squiggly movements, but as long as you intend to do it accurately, that's what it's all about. It's your intention. You intend to use the symbol that you have attached this intention to. Okay? So you're drawing it out in the air, and you try to say the name of the letters as you are doing it. You do the first one as you're saying it. Sha, or Han, Sha, Ze, Sho, Nen. You do that 3 times. Okay? 3 times. Now, this is where you can throw in the other 2 symbols, the Seihei Ki or the master symbol. If you're just treating a physical ailment, it's not necessary. But if the ailment requires a treatment of an emotional issue, throw in the Seihei Ki. Do Seihei Ki 3 times. Seihei Ki, Seihei Ki, Seihei Ki. Drawing it with your finger each time. If the person requires the full treatment, and trust me, every so often I actually do this to people. I did it to Dr. J the other day. I was giving him the hardcore treatment. Then you throw in the master symbol, the Daiko Mio. You do that 3 times. Daiko Mio, Daiko Mio, Daiko Mio. And then when you've done all that, you've done your power symbol, then you've done your distance symbol. Then you finish by doing the power symbol or the Shoku-rei 3 more times in the air. Same as before. Shoku-rei, Shoku-rei, Shoku-rei. All right. Once you've done that, the best thing to do, next thing you do, you go back into your prayerful position, your gaucho, your supplication, whatever you want to call it, and you say thank you. And while you're saying thank you, you visualize the person that you are working on. And you visualize whatever it is that you've been working on, be it something organ inside of them. If they're having a lung issue, you visualize their lungs. If they're having toothache, you see their tooth. If they've got backache, you see their spine. Okay? So a little familiarity with anatomy is actually quite useful if you're going to be doing this stuff, because you want to see those organs and you want to see them healthy, and you want to visualize them whole and perfect. And that's the form that they will assume, because your energy is actually instructing the DNA to assume that form and telling those cells to modify themselves to the highest level of vibration. And that's what healing really is. Okay, so that is the distance healing. That is a big deal. I hope you guys appreciate this, and I want everybody to look these symbols up, Print them out, draw them, whatever you can. Write them on your wall, because this is powerful, powerful stuff. And trust me, when I'm doing my distance healing, when somebody tells me that they need this or that, I don't have the stuff memorized. I break out my book and I flip it open to. I break out my Reiki for Dummies. I'm a Reiki master, but I still use Reiki for Dummies, and I use those symbols. And I sit there and I just trace those symbols in the book with my finger, and that's how I do it. It's so damn easy, and it works. It's miraculous. Okay, we got about 30 minutes left of the show. I know you guys. I hope you guys all appreciate how what it's like to try to spew like this for 2 hours straight, especially under the circumstances. But so far, so good. It's a great time for somebody to call in if you have a question or an anecdote or something you want to share. Give me a chance to take a break. It's 347-688-2902. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see here. No, seriously, though, a call would be great right now, but I'm just going to look through my session here and see if there's anything else really important that I want to share with you like next. Again, if anybody has questions, this would be a great time. Keeping a journal is a worthwhile endeavor if you're going to do this. You can take notes, of course. Obviously, if you're taking the course, you certainly want to take notes and do drawings and things like this. If you have any messages, you want to record that. If you have any intuitions, feelings, ideas that come up during the session, you want to write this stuff down. Experiences with clients, it's great to record that information just for future reference and recording what happened. And it's just a useful thing to do. Now, let's see here. What else? Nope. Oh, okay. Here's an issue. Should you not charge for Reiki? Oh my goodness. You must earn a living somehow. Somebody says that. All right. Okay. This is a big issue. Okay. First of all, you know how I say. I say if you've got a gift, you give it away. But there also is this energy exchange thing, and it's just like me giving you guys my PayPal number. If you want to, if you like the energy that I gave you and you want to share some of your energy with me, that's great. That's what it's all about. Same thing with Reiki. If you were to call me and send me an email and you contact me and say, hey, I'm in great pain, or my dog is sick, or my mom's dying, or whatever the heck, and can you help me out? I will do it and not even think twice about it. And I am not going to ask you for anything. All right. Don't take advantage of me, please. But it's no big deal, really. It only takes a couple of minutes to do a healing session, a distance healing session. So I don't mind doing it. I was trying to think of how somebody might take advantage of me, but don't call me up and say to heal your grandmother, and when your grandmother's already dead, that's not cool. Although it doesn't mean I can't make contact. I can still make contact because this is retroactive, but I'll usually find out what's going on. But there's other, again, when you if you're going to charge people, give them something else with the treatment. Like for instance, I'll do massage. I'll actually do massage. And I'll do reflexology, and I'll do all sorts of different things for the person. So, if I'm going to charge somebody, I'll say, well, I'm going to charge you for an hour of massage or something. Okay, that's whatever. Obviously that's not cheap, but you can come up with something else to charge them. It's like, if I write a book, I'm going to charge you. You're going to pay to read the book, of course, but the information I give you, like right now, is free. And if you want to help us out, help us out. But anyway, okay, let me see what. it'd be really helpful if you guys would call me up and tell me what you want to hear. There's a couple of different directions I can go here, but as I was suggesting, though, if you're going to do this, it's always a good idea to learn these other modes, so that you can work them. Especially, like, for instance, reflexology is incredible. If you're, just pressing on certain areas of the foot or the palm can do, great things. So and you can do Reiki at the same time. So why wouldn't you not want to learn this? It's so simple. So yeah, while you're at it, go ahead and look up reflexology. Okay, let's see. Gosh, let me see here. I'm looking at a couple of these different Reiki and medicine. All right. Well, as I mentioned, they are using Reiki in the hospitals now. Some of these hospitals. So so there is something to it. It's definitely not. It's not voodoo. This healing with intention, and there have been some scientific studies, and not necessarily involving Reiki per se, but involving psychics and the concept of healing with intention. And they've done this in the universities. They've actually come up with some pretty startling results. But the end result, of course, is that they've allowed this stuff into the hospitals. So Sinai, is that it? Let me see. What is that? The big hospital here in L.A. that uses the Reiki. Oh, do you know what it is, Terry? It's Sinai, something Sinai, Beth Temples. Do you know what that is? That big hospital in Los Angeles?
Cedar Sinai?
Cedar Sinai, that's
yes.
the one, yeah.
There was a question in the chat from Mr. Rowe, and I answered him. I want to make sure I gave him the right information, but he said, what would he need for you to do long-distance healing from an elderly friend? What info? And I said, you need a picture.
I need a photo.
No, sure.
I need a photo and some information about what the problem is.
Okay.
And I'd like the person to know that I'm doing it, but if they don't, then it's okay too. But yes, he needs to email me. Again, let me just give out my email again real quick so you guys can do this. And if I don't get to my email quick enough, bear with me. But, if you really got to get a hold of me, find me on Facebook or, get somebody who's got my phone number. But, again, the email is law17gun or law17gun at AOL.com. And if you want me to do some work for somebody, send me a JPEG, preferably something that's big enough that I can actually see the person. It doesn't matter how old the picture is. That's all I need. Okay, and I'll of course make sure that if it's more than one person in the picture, that I know who it is I'm supposed to be working on. Oh, and I'd like to know their name. Of course, I need to know their full name. That's it. Such a deal, huh?
Yeah, Stephen, I have a question. Well, it wasn't really mine, but somebody from chat also, and I'm kind of a little bit curious myself. Sugar Zanaroni, I think I probably said that wrong. Anyway, she said, should women do the figure 8 to the left?
Oh, okay. All right. Figure 8. All right. Okay, we don't do a figure 8. All right. Now, when you're stirring the food, of course, it's going, okay, Mr. Rowe's calling, but he has to call you. He can't call me. All right, so I'm going to have to decline his call. He's trying to call into the show right now. Maybe you can connect to him, Terry, if possible.
Mr. Rowe?
Yeah, here, let me connect you with him right there. And there you go. See him?
Okay.
Okay, anyway, all right, you want to stir in a circular way, and you always want to be clockwise, okay? Healing energy, the good stuff goes clockwise, all right? And I'm not saying that the other stuff is bad. It's just that the clockwise stuff is better. That's the way you want to go. You don't do a figure 8 per se. You do a round circle. Now, the energy symbol, the Shoku-rei, is a spiral. It's not a figure 8. It's a spiral. Okay, so big difference. But again, Google these symbols. And again, look at Reiki symbols, and it's the Shoku-rei, the Seihei-ki, the Hansha-zei shonen, and the Daiko-myo. Those are the 4 that you want to study and practice them. And also, if you remember from the last show, we were working with our hands, trying to feel the energy between our hands. Okay, it looks like Mr. O who's here. You want to work on that. You want to continue to work on that, and you want to also focus on your visualization of using the air in your breath to represent the energy that you're pushing. Okay, and get used to this idea of connecting your breathing to your energy movement. Okay, because that's very important, and you'll find that when you're working with other people, a lot of times that your ability to sync up your breathing is a big part of what you're trying to do. Okay, Mr. Rowe, what's up?
Hey, Stephen D. Kelley. I don't think I've ever spoken to you. Good evening.
You haven't? I thought you have.
Maybe we spoke once before, but anyway, yeah, I have an elderly friend. He's 89 years old, and he a couple of weeks ago, actually during my show, he fell in the front driveway and hit the back of his head, cracked his skull, and had minor bleeding on the brain. And he's recovered from that, but he's very physically weak, and they've just moved him into a secondary care, like a bridge from the hospital to home. So I'll be sending you a couple photos of him in the mail, and I'm hoping that you can help him regain his physical strength as well as a little bit of mental fortitude, because he's older and he's a really fine soul. So.
Okay, we'll do our best for that. No problem there. Obviously with these things, I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying that we don't change anything that's supposed to happen, right?
Right.
But at the very least, we get rid of pain and make people comfortable, and also. All right. Again, I'm gonna kind of go in a different direction. This is not because of your friend's situation, but this is something I need to address, and that is death, Reiki and death. It's almost like last rites. It's like a sacrament. There is nothing wrong with using Reiki on somebody who is terminal or is unable to be helped, and it's actually very beneficial. Because this is a very spiritual process, and it does endow the person with strength, and a healing process is also a cleansing process. Okay, because we are treating the aura and we are removing crap. So this is a wonderful way to help somebody transition also. So the thing is when we do this. It's like working on my cat last night. There was nothing I could do, but I could try to make it a little bit better. Okay, so that's what we do, right? So your friend, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to hope that he has an incredible, miraculous recovery and regains all his strength. But he's not a young man, right?
That's all we can ask, exactly. Although he's a tough old guy. He fell down an elevator shaft before and been in an accident, and he keeps going,
Wow. All right. Well, I'll look forward to seeing his picture. But as long anyone else, remember it's law17gun@AOL.com. Okay. Just make sure you send me a decent photo, JPEG. All right. Anything else for anybody else wants to call in? How much time we got left? Let me look at this. What is it? Oh, we got about 15 minutes or so, roughly. That's not bad. Let me see. Okay. Again, there was a couple other questions, but I think we covered them. Mostly had to do with the stirring and the food. All right. What is this? Somebody wants to know about the jade helm?
Yeah, there is a question about that.
Is it a psyop?
Let's see.
It's everything. It's all of the above. It's training for martial law. It's training for war overseas. It is a psyop to get people used to having posse comitatus violations by the military acting as police. And it is also going to be used to be bringing the UN in and confiscating guns and all of these things. And even if this exercise is nothing more than an exercise, it's going to be an exercise that's going to be a reoccurring, and they're going to try to be doing this every year, and it's going to get more heinous every year. So if we get through it this year, it's only going to get worse. Anyway. Golly, gee willikers, I wonder why we haven't got any calls. But all right, well, let me just kind of focus again on why we're doing these programs. we call this Jedi 101 because we are trying to train Jedi. And by Jedi, what I mean is we're trying to train warriors. And we're trying to train warriors that have skills and powers, supernatural nature, if you will.
Are you there?
Hello?
Stven? I wonder if we lost Stven for a
I just heard him
second.
go off the air.
Oh, there is a problem. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I think he lost a little bit of power there for some reason. But you're here. Is this Jude?
Am I on the air?
Yes, you are on the air. We're on the air, but somehow Stven
Well, as soon as
disappeared.
someone asked about Jade Helm, I guess, because I was waiting for I was just dialing, and then I heard on the internet that somebody was asking about Jade Helm, and then I was turning the volume down, so when you picked up, it wouldn't bother everything. And then all of a sudden it's on, so.
Right. I'm thinking maybe I don't know. I mean, he's showing green on the screen right now, but for some reason he's not.
Hey, I'm
He's
here.
not
My Skype
here.
crashed, so I've got to reboot.
Oh.
All right, I'm rebooting.
Okay.
I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I guess.
Oh my
I guess
gosh.
it's up. It's us.
What did we talk about?
Well, I mean, so you were responding to
No,
to
not
the
me.
Jade
No.
Helm.
I said that he went silent
Okay.
right when that was talked about, but just a coincidence, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm not trying to be paranoid.
No, I think it's important not to be paranoid.
Yeah, because you have to stay in a place of non-fear, and it's just like, okay. And it just gets you
Yeah, I mean.
I just get stronger a lot. I mean, there's always something to worry about, but well, he's not on right now, but I mean,
I know.
I started using a pendulum for my own health issues 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
When I bought this book called Dowsing for Cures. Yeah, so I still haven't read the book all the way through, but I kind of picked. But I used it to advise me on. Well, I've learned so much and that's why I wanted him to explain the dynamics of how and why it exactly works. But I've been using it for 5 years, so now it's like it's an infallible way. But it does kind of play games. Sometimes I have to stare it down and. Because it will mess with me if I ask silly things, But I mean, it's helped me a lot with my own intuition and my study for my, learning about my own life and life history. And it's an intuitive guide as well as a health guide, and it's just been quite remarkable.
Well, I remember when you called in a couple weeks ago that you wanted to talk about the pendulum, and Stven was saying that I haven't. We're not going to. It's later on, and tonight's the night, and so he did do a lot of stuff about the pendulum.
Yeah.
Were you
I'm
able
just trying
to
to
hear that
bide
part?
time till he gets back on because I don't want to ask my question until he gets back on.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not really, authorized to answer it.
Maybe this would just be the girls'
girls
moment here. The girls' moment.
What?
I don't know if I could talk about other things, but I was. Oh God. Well, I was tuning into your show last night, and then someone on chat mentioned the other show, and I found out that it was a subject dear to my heart and soul is the Talmud of Emmanuel, because it was back in 1991. I used to listen to this show every Saturday night called the Laura Lee Show. You ever heard of that? Well, she was way ahead of her time, Terry. I think she got harassed, by the New World Order and stuff, and that she and her husband took off on the last thing I found on the internet because this was 91, so how many years ago is that, But she used to have a show on Saturday night, and it was called the Paradigm Shift. It was all about the Paradigm Shift, so it was mind-blowing. Every Saturday night I would listen and tape everything because I don't have a good memory, I have to hear it again. So I have all these old tapes, and one of my favorite was the one about the Talmud of Emmanuel, which talked about Jesus surviving the crucifixion and and how he did and all that. through the help of, because that whole period when he was his missing years, he was in Egypt. I mean, it all makes sense when you listen to that show. So I'm sorry I switched over to that show last night, but I was so glad I was tuning into your show and I got to hear that guy because that's so dear to my heart. It kind of brought back my faith and understanding because I was a Christian. After the early psychedelic phase, a lot of people turned to the Lord because the big movement in Costa Mesa.
For some reason, I'm getting messages from Stven. I'm getting messages from Stven right now, and he's saying he doesn't have any audio.
Okay, Stven, we'll just take over your show.
I don't know what's going on here.
I was going to ask him. I'm switching around. Never mind. Go ahead. Your turn.
Let me see. I'm going to write him. Maybe I should bring you in because he's just all of a sudden appeared again.
Do whatever you have to do. If I have to hang up.
I don't know why.
Just let me know.
Yeah. No. I think you're fine. Don't hang up.
Revolution Radio. Freedom.
Let me see if I can. I'm going to bring him into the. I'm going to see if I can add him to the call right now.
You can do it.
Maybe that'll fix it. So I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him again. Doesn't want to call him.
That cat that died was the same one that jumped on his lap last couple weeks ago, and I bet it was because that cat was in distress.
He's gone again.
I'm talking about
he's
him on
offline.
Behind his back.
Right. Yeah. The cat.
Remember that? And I asked him
his
if,
lap
and I think the cat was in distress and definitely trying to get his attention and stuff. I don't mean to be nailing him. I mean, gosh, it's so difficult. But when I was losing my amazing cat Oscar about 3 or 4 years ago, it was 5 years ago now. I still have Princess, and she was born 19 years ago in the end of this month. So that's amazing. But when go ahead.
Well, it's always hard. It's always difficult when you lose animals. I felt really bad for Stven when he was saying that Jack was not doing well because I saw the posting on Facebook.
Crazy busy doing other stuff.
Yeah, and it seemed like it happened really fast because there was one posting and then there was a posting right after that, and then like literally 14 minutes later or 16 minutes later, he said, "Oh, he passed." Like it seems like it happened really, really quick. So I don't think he was expecting it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try to bring him in again. All right, I see him. I see him here now. No, darn it. I can't seem to get him in here. That's odd. Well, I hope he gets here before we end. I hate to close. There he is! Yay!
Twice I had to reboot the computer. Twice. All right, this was right when I was saying why we are doing the show. We're doing it because we're trying to get a bunch of warriors together, okay? I'm not surprised that they cut me off, right? This is not just about healing. We are trying to get a bunch of Jedis, and I'll tell you what, it's only going to take 144,000 of us to totally change this world, believe it or not. Those are the light workers, okay? There's 144,000 light workers out there, probably a lot more, but at least that many. And that's what it is, okay?
There's millions.
But we know there's 144,000 people that are special, and they're the ones that are going to lead everyone else. So that's there's at least that many people listening to this show.
Oh,
right?
Really? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
Anyway, so those are the people, and that's what this is all about.
How many people are listening? I wonder how many people around the world are tuning in on the internet daily. I mean, I just had that question mark last night, but that's totally off subject. So, but it must be billions of people on the internet, for whatever reason. Of course, there's all that porn, unfortunately.
Well, we, if we're one of these days, we'll be lucky enough. We'll get as many people watching or listening to us as Press TV or Russia Today. I should admit, I'm going to do Russia Today here again pretty soon, huh, Terry? Yeah, I don't know when. I haven't heard from them, but they, and then Press TV, they're always around. But okay, all right. What all did I miss? Okay, first of all, who's our caller?
About you.
Yeah.
This is Jude.
Yeah.
We were talking about you. But also, Jude has been working with the pendulum, and
no,
she
I
really
didn't.
wants
I
to
was
talk
just
to you about
killing
that.
time. I didn't want to gossip about him while he was off the air.
All right. Well, what are we down to?
No, I really called to talk about reflexology because my mother was a reflexologist after she finally divorced my father, and she studied that in handwriting analysis, and she was really good, and she was just amazing, and at the very end she'd get the pituitary and then get a gleam in her eye and then put it on me. But she went through a lot of research and study for it. So I bought a couple of books on it, and they've been in storage because my life has been like a gypsy somewhat. So now that I'm, settling in with better health, and I've got not. Anyway, I want to get those books out of storage and read them, but I know that there's a lot to it. You can't. And I had a woman work on my feet
reflexology
since 2003.
It's basically just a couple different techniques. All right, you're using your thumbs. You're primarily using your thumbs.
Yeah. You have to cut your nails too. You can't have long nails.
Yes, you have to cut your nails, but there's the technique has to be perfected, because if you don't, it's actually it can be kind of painful on your thumbs. But there's two methods. There's one where you're pushing with the tip of your thumb, and you go back and forth across the entire area of the palm or the foot. You covering everything. And then the other method is more of a sliding method, kind of where you're actually sliding your thumb across the surface. I don't remember the names. One's called the Father Joseph, and the other one's something else. But those are the two main techniques. And of course, with reflexology on the hands and feet, typically it's like doing a massage. You do all sorts of different things, but the actual reflexology is just a probing. Okay, it's a probing of every single tiny coordinate on the palm, because it's when you locate abnormality, and it will feel like crystals. It'll actually, when you're rubbing or doing the reflexology on someone's palm or somebody's foot, it'll almost feel like they've got a little bit of sand under their skin that you've come across, and that's actually crystals. I'm trying to remember the name of the crystals, but it's the same thing, crystals that form in gout, I believe. Mm-hmm. But those crystals are the indication, and they form there, and basically as a result of the abnormality that's taking place in the corresponding organ. And by having the charts, usually when you're doing the reflexology, what you do is you have a chart sitting there right next to you, a printout. And the right and left foot or the right and left hand are both different, so you want to have a chart for each one. Of course, on your hand, of course, you've got two sides of the hand. On the foot, it's just the bottom. But as you have the chart there, then when you find something abnormal, you can look at the chart and you can see exactly what it is that is the issue. And that's usually, when you're doing that, you can, and again, there's an ethics question here, but then you ask the person, if they're having an issue with such and such, like, oh, did you just get through having a cold, or are you having a back issue, or are you having, some sort of a stomach issue or a liver issue or something, kidney issue? And if you respond, well, yeah, how did you know? That just gives you a little affirmation. And then from that point, you can do two things. You can continue to massage that particular area, because by massaging that area and rubbing on it and pushing on it very hard, you actually will induce the healing and can decrease pain substantially. Mm. And if someone has lung cancer, you're going to rub on their feet in the area that treats the lungs. Okay, something like that. They're having some disorder. You treat that disorder by the corresponding location on their feet or their hands. Obviously, if they're missing a hand, do it on the foot. If they're missing a foot, do it on the hand. If their foot hurts, work on the hand. If their hand hurts, work on their foot. But that's how it goes. And then once you've identified an area by the reflexology, you can also use the Reiki to treat that area. Okay, because now this person's having some stomach issues or lung issues or sciatic nerve issues or whatever the heck it is, and you can treat it directly. And by the same token, if you're giving a person a massage, with your hands, or even just running your hands over the body, you're going to feel it. All right, everybody, that's the end of the show. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember, Law 17 Guns, send me an email, Revolution Radio, help us out. This is Stephen D. Kelley Show. I'm Stephen D. Kelley. Thank you very much for calling. Thank you, Terry Joyce. Adios. God bless. We'll see you next week.